Ryan Giggs, and we should give credit to David Moyes for inserting him in the starting 11. His tactics work beautifully here as Manchester United become just the second team to advance to the quarters after losing the first leg 2-0, and they continue their mastery over Greek opponents. Olympiakos have lost all 12 visits, by the way, to England. That is neither here nor there. What is here is this performance by Manchester United. I'll start at the end there, Alejandro. And how did they do this?
Well, they were fortunate at times. I thought Olympiakos had chances. They created enough chances that if David De Gea doesn't come up with big saves, now we're talking a different story. But I thought that Manchester United were responsive today. You saw a team with emotion. You saw a team that the crowd got behind and they started to believe in what they were doing on the field. You haven't seen a lot of that from Manchester United this year. You haven't seen a lot of that in Old Trafford from Manchester United. And today, for whatever reason, I think for the first time this year, you saw a team that responded to the challenge in front of them.
Would that suggest that they are turning the corner here?
Don't look at me.
I know you have an opinion on that. All right, Steve, what do you think? As bad as they looked against your team over the weekend to come out with that performance.
You cannot turn around and say that they're turning the corner after this performance.
Agreed.
What you can say is that today players responded, which we've said has been part of the problem. You got De Gea in goal making important saves. You got Ryan Giggs inserted in the middle. You got Rooney and you got Robin van Persie. So that's almost the spine of your side that turned up today.
Yep.
And to win games, you have to have your spine.
But in a lot of games that Manchester United played this year, you would think they were playing to get the manager fired. Today, you would think they were playing for the manager to keep his job. There was a bit of passion. There was they were fleet of foot at times. They took their chances, and I know they rode their luck. They certainly rode their luck because Olympiakos have nobody to blame but themselves.
Well, and that's it, Tommy, because when you really look at it, I think this is the Manchester United. Okay, RVP scores a hat trick and they scored 3 goals, fine. They still gave up 4 or 5 legitimate chances, which has been this Achilles heel of United all season long. Evra wasn't very good. Ferdinand and Giggs started against Olympiakos. That was 11 and a half years ago. They started against Olympiakos in 92. Like, we're still talking about the same players, right? Like, you have to go to Ferdinand and Giggs to get this kind of response they're talking about? 2001, excuse me.
At the same time, you can't disagree that Giggs made a huge difference.
No.
Ferdinand was okay, but, are we being serious? Does this mean that Giggs is going to play every game?
No.
This game was ideal for Giggs because Olympiakos were never going to go pressing the ball 100 miles an hour the way they do in the Premier League and other Champions League
Rooney
teams
played
do.
well too, but Rooney played very well.
There might be a blueprint here to this performance on how they move forward, however they finish this season. Let's welcome in Gab Marcotti. David Moyes can't catch a break with these guys, Gab. How did you see it?
Well, I agree with the boys in the studio. Somebody on Twitter came up with this and said that if you play video games, you know what I'm talking about. Ryan Giggs is like those sort of one-time power-ups that you can use every so often in the course of a game, and that's what he did. I mean, on a night like tonight, it was about raw emotion. It was about getting the result by any means necessary. But realistically, you're not going to see Giggs and Ferdinand play every game. They're obviously not the answer. And I almost wonder, this lineup looks to me, and some of the substitutions, like chucking in Fletcher and so on, it strikes me as the kind of thing that, if the senior players took a vote on who they would play, this is what they'd come up with. I'm a bit curious about that. I wonder if we'll find out more about Nemanja Vidic's so-called slight groin strain that supposedly kept him out of this game. I don't know. I think there's more to come on this one.
What do you think David Moyes does to build off of this? How does he change that culture there that really hit rock bottom in recent weeks?
We spoke in the show yesterday about the fact that David Moyes needs to show that this team is moving in the right direction, that there has to be some growth, some improvement. I'm not sure that this performance allows you to show that, but it does in some way buy some time for David Moyes to sort of build on to what's coming ahead and to get to the summer. The most important thing for David Moyes is, can he get to the transfer window? And if he does, then obviously his transition process can fully start bringing in new players, and from then on you can expect bigger things from Manchester United.
What he has to build on between now and the West Ham game is nothing to do with football. It's about taking the joy and the lift that everybody's been given from this result and carrying it on through the next 2 or 3 days in training. It's about keeping everybody happy, making sure that when they turn up, at least they've got the same attitude.
Including himself, Stevie. Because remember at halftime, you and I were watching the game, he looked 10 years younger.
He did.
Going into halftime, up 2-0.
I think he lost some grays in that hair as well.
He'll have a good sleep tonight.
Yes.
He'll have a good sleep tonight.
I mean, obviously, he figured that he did the right thing today, but he has a couple of very important. I think he has City after West Ham, hasn't he? So that's going to be huge. I mean, David Moyes is not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination just because they beat Olympiakos.
But the attitude of Manchester United today was different than what we've seen from most of the year, and I think that's important. I think that's a step forward.
If David De Gea doesn't make those 2 big saves,
we're having a different discussion.
We're probably talking about United winning 3-1. Guess what?
And that's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
And Manchester United sent packing. Instead, Gab, David Moyes is going to sleep well tonight. He's got that win under his belt that he hopes can get him through the rest of this season. He has been saying that his job is safe. How do you think his job is viewed now by the higher-ups at Manchester United?
Well, you know, we have this habit. We talk about, you know, well, what does the board think of David Moyes, and the board does this, and there is no board. There really are no higher-ups except for the Glazers, and you're talking about Joel and Avram, and they decide, and those guys don't talk to anybody. Even when you talk to people around Old Trafford, all they're doing is interpreting vibes from these 2 guys who live across an ocean. So. Nobody really knows. What I can tell you is what the message that keeps coming out, and the message is that his job is safe. His job is safe because Sir Alex continues to back him, because it would cost a lot of money to let go at this stage, because they want to give him a shot with a big spending campaign this summer. Now, could the Glazers change their mind tomorrow? Of course they could, and the odds are, if they did, nobody would see it coming.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.